stream, and I'm still kind of in bed. I'm actually hoping to make this a kind of short stream, and then probably like set up to stream a little bit of Monster Hunter in a bit, or some Witch Hunter, The Witcher. So, I came across the Creepypasta app, and I got like uber excited. So as you can see, there is so many different choices of stories here, and I wanted to read a few of them to you. Alright. The Lavender Town Syndrome. The Lavender Town Syndrome, also known as Lavender Town Tone or Lavender Town Suicides, was a peak in suicides and illness of children between the ages of 7 to 12 shortly after the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan back in February 27, 1996. And there's a lovely picture of Lavender Town. Rumors say that these suicides and illness only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose theme music had extremely high frequencies. The studies showed that only children and young teens can hear, since their ears are more sensitive. Due to the lavender tone, at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide, and many more developed illnesses and afflictions. The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. Those who did not acted irrationally complained of severe headaches after listening to Lavender Town's theme. Although Lavender Town now sounds massively different depending on the game, this mass hysteria was caused by the first Pokemon game release. After the Lavender Tone incident, the programmers had fixed Lavender Town's theme music to be at a lower frequency, and since children were no longer affected by it, one video appeared in 2010 using special software to analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music. When played, the software created images of the unknown near the end of the audio. This raised a controversy, since the unknown didn't appear until Generation 2, Silver, Gold, and Crystal. The unknown translates to Leave Now. There is also the said beta version of Lavender Town. It is said that the beta version of Pocket Monsters was released to some kids to test the games. This is the video of the beta version of Lavender Town. I'm going to lower my ringtone volume and my media volume so that way it's not like way overpowering. I remember this song. I don't see why it's so scary. Maybe it's because the won't shut up. Alright. Oh god, it's not gonna stop, is it? Yeesh. What is going on? It won't stop. Alright, I see what you're doing, phone. I see what you're doing. Let's close the Creepypasta app. Let's reopen it. Give me just a moment. Alright, where'd it go? Is it just me, or is my phone acting haunted? Oh, I have Mortal Kombat, yeah. Alright, I'm going to read a couple more, and then I'm going to stream some games. Let's go to Creepypasta Files. Alright. Pokemon Lost Silver. Oh, wow. It's pretty small. Let's see. You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver here in the States. I have purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet aside for school purposes. That means no 4chan, no V, no Bulbapedia. As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I was unable to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. I decided during that time I would replay my Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. However, I realized that long ago my mom and dad threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and I was very upset about it. She also threw away my silver version, so all I have is my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used silver version, as it's the only Pokemon game left that they have for the Game Boy Color. $10, fairly cheap. I went home and it started up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started getting bizarre, and most likely the reason why you're reading this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but it just froze there. I thought the cartridge was just error or something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A and start over and over, and all the buttons. Eventually the logo vanished, and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going back to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game and in a previous saved file, which was odd, as I was expecting all these carts to have been wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining, as I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. First off, I checked his trainer information. His name was just ... He didn't have much originality. I checked his profile, and apparently he had 9999 hours put into the game, with all 16 badges, 99999 Pokédollars, and all 251 Pokemon on the Pokédex. Seeing as he apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also, I'm guessing he either used a Game Genie or was a really hardcore Pokemon player back then. I checked his Pokemon to see what a badass team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I was thinking that this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played this game, but I decided to check the profiles of those Pokemon anyways. As expected, they were different letters of unknown, all level 5. I was a bit shaky with my unknown alphabet at the time, but I identified the word spelled out to be leave. As for the 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this is before there were individualized Pokemon icons. The Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was level 5 with only 1 HP left and only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at the time I just disregarded it. The most scary thing was that despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon had said their usual cries. Just pure silence. Having enough of the team, I closed it. I was parked at what appeared to be a room inside the Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all, as if it was just leaning on its side. There was no music, and there was no exit ladder. At least I thought there wasn't. I walked around for a few minutes, but couldn't find a way out. This was certainly not a room I've seen in the Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder, which turned out to be behind the pillar. The screen turned black, and the music finally started playing. I had a sudden chill as I recognized the melody I heard to be the theme you hear when you listen to the radio at the Elf Ruins where all the unknown are at. I immediately realized it wasn't a loading transition, but rather I was in a dark room and would need flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokegear to change the radio to something more pleasant. But it turns out there was no radio card, or even a phone, nor time cards. There was only a map card in which Gold, ... from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on, was just walking in a mist of black. I recall that Cyndaquil has Flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Cyndaquil use Flash. I didn't see any message saying Hurry has used Flash or anything like that. The room just became lit, and like that, I soon regretted it. The room was a chilling blood red with a linear gray path headed south. The ladder I used to go up and down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south. The green screen got darker every 20 steps I made, until I finally made it to the end, which appeared to have a sign. I read the sign, which said, "Turn back now." Suddenly I was asked to answer yes or no. But there was no question I asked. I chose yes, as I do not know what I was asking. And the green screen went, and the screen, sorry, I'm like jumping, went black again, making a ladder climb sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was replaced with the not as creepy Poke Flute radio music. I was in another dark room, but I held my breath and used flash again. Suddenly it said that Hurry has fainted, which was odd since I recall that there was no status conditions like poison on him. And it clearly was no status. I clearly wasn't in battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he's no longer in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokemon are there, but instead are all replaced with level 10 unknown. I did the same thing as before and spelled out the unknown. My then team of unknown spelled, "He died." Ugh. Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room that appeared to be only 4 squares big. The walls of that room were gray bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Outside that room appears to be a bunch of graves, similar to the ones in Pokemon Red and Blue. I walked around that small room and pressed A, but nothing happened. I've already concluded that this was clearly a hacked game and some sadistic fuck sold it to the GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of ... again, only to find that the sprite of Gold was missing his arms. He also seems to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty in a way that I do not know how to describe. For some reason, it was also said he has 24 badges, which was clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying up, though, my character spun downwards slowly, as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing, the overworld sprite of Gold is colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. It's as if he came straight from the colorless Game Boy games, placed into a colored background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile, and while now is as white as his overworld sprite, he lost his legs, and has what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says he now has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me, as this change of number seems to represent something important. I also checked my Pokemon, which this time contains 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebi without a nickname. The unknowner this time leveled 15 and spelled out dying. I checked Celebi's profile. It was shiny Celebi, except there was only one half of the sprite. 1 leg, 1 arm, 1 eye, 1 attack. Perish song. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower with the mobile tower as before, except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually, I finally encountered some generic men and women NPC. They were all lined up to the side, just facing the long, slantish pillar in the middle. They were also white, and nothing happens when I try to speak to them. I kept on going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off, with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red, and without even pressing A, I was suddenly engaged into a final battle. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Gold's battle sprite matches his front one with the red bloody eyes, white skin, lack of arms, and while red sprite was the same as before in the GSC, except transparent. The text simply said, "Wants to battle," as if he has no name, and both of us only have 1 Pokemon each, which is weird, as I swore I had 6 with the unknowns. My shiny Celebi came out, conventionally with the half sprite for the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, as the sounds it made clearly sounded like multiple screech attacks were used consecutively. Red sent out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he's level 255 and his sprite seems to be sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight item Pokemon Run menu, I was only given the option to choose the attacks. Since Celebi has only one, I chose it, naturally. Since Pikachu is level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering its speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. Celebi used Perish Song. In 3 turns, both Pokemon will get KO'd. Not like I have a choice. At this point, it didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. Also, note that there are no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which didn't do much damage despite his level and boost as his health was maxed. Celebi used Perish Song. Nothing happened as it was already used. Pikachu used Frustration, which did a shit ton of damage, knocking Celebi down to 10 HP. Celebi used Pain Split, which surprised me as Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. Now Celebi and Pikachu have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Look, not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of the Perish Song, my Celebi fainted, except the text it said Celebi has died. And instead of the ordinary drop off the screen animation, the Celebi back sprite just vanished. For some reason, the Pikachu was still up and even with Perish Song, and it didn't count as my loss. That's bullshit. Pikachu used one more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards, it says Pikachu has died, with a slow fade-out animation. Apparently, I was the winner, as a transparent red sprite showed up and said, ... At that point, I just freaked out, as that transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The music then ended at that point and faded out along with the music. I'm back in the overworld with another change in Gold sprite. He's now as transparent as Red's overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, where this time the only thing remaining of him is his head, with transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing a black void in his eyes. It now stated he has 40 badges. Then I backed out to check my Pokemon. They were all level 20 Shiny Unknown, which spelled no more. I was at what I now know is next to the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like something was there that could be heard. I was back in my room in New Barktown. Maybe finally I get to play this game properly, but who am I kidding? I knew that sadistic fuck must have done something. I walked around my room to interact with things, as I'm afraid to go downstairs and see what's awaiting me there. Note I said walked, as while the background was moving, Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating like these ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears normal, except Mom isn't home. After failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, that door leading outside the south didn't work either, and instead I just walked straight through it to the void. I continued moving south to see what the fuck was going on. My house vanishes as I head south into the void. It was as creepy as when I entered the void. The outline on Gold's transparent sprite turned to white in contrast with the pitch black. Eventually, I reached a white area, and Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. He said it was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it. He said goodbye forever. Notably, with a space in between forever and ... and vanished. As that happened, it said ... use nightmare, which at that point I would not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I'm now back into that smaller, hollowed-out room surrounded by graves earlier, or at least I say I was there, but there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved, not even wall-bumping noise. I checked my trainer with absolutely no Gold sprite left. It said I have 0 badges, and all the pictures of the Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked with my Pokemon, which were all level 25 unknown. As expected, it spelled out the phrase that I dared to read, I'm dead. As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room I supposedly was in, then covered with the same blocks as walls. I then figured out what exactly that room was when a final text said, R.I.P. That room was a big grave, surrounded by other graves. Gold has already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokemon master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape from that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which I then finally decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the gimmick unknown the same way again. They say that only the first generation have folk tales and legends, but the second generation have showed me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed Soul Silver immensely, but I still can't unthink what the rigged game has told me. Oof. God, that was scary. Oh, hey, are you guys talking to me? I see stuff popping up, but I'm not sure what it says. My big head's in the way. Sorry. Let's see if we can find another one. Or maybe I won't, because that one was really, really scary. I'm beginning to not really feel so hot, so I might not be streaming for much longer. Alright, let's quit the Creepypasta app. I'm gonna sit on the other side. I'm cramping a little. Alright, so, since we're here, I'm gonna stop this particular stream, and I'm gonna do another live stream where, I'm gonna play another game, so I'll see you in just a minute, okay? Bye. Did it stop? Oh, now it's